This is a mandarin. Well, what's left of one. It's been drying out for months, and today I'm going to turn it step by step into a complete 3D model. Before I take a single photo, let me walk you through the whole set, because every piece here has a reason to be. Let's start with the light. This is a Godox AR400, and it's got a polarizing filter in front of it. The camera has another filter on the lens. This is called cross-polarization, and its job is simple, to kill the glare and reflections on the fruit. Without those annoying reflections, the color we capture is the real color, and that saves us a ton of headaches down the line. Then we've got a small turntable with a stand where the mandarin sits. The idea is to spin it little by little and take photos in full rotations, what we call loops. And last, one of the most important pieces, and the one that'll save us the most time, the background. It's a cloth painted with Muso black, a black that swallows almost all the light. Thanks to that super dark background, separating the fruit from everything else is going to be almost automatic. You'll see why in a second. What you're seeing in this time-lapse is the creation of the masks for each photo, and for this I use Reality Scan 2. It's free and about as easy as it gets, so if you're just starting out, it's a great place to begin. The trick here is to select the photos in batches, each loop on its own, and use them to build a really simple 3D model. Now this first model doesn't interest us for its quality. We only use it as a base so the program can generate the masks for the photos. So what are the masks for? To separate the fruit from the background automatically. The program cuts out what we don't need, the stand and anything from the background that snuck in. Although with a black this absolute, it's very rare for anything to sneak in. Look at the difference. I painted the stand with a regular everyday black, while the background is that absolute black I mentioned. That's why the background disappears on its own, and the stand sometimes needs a little help. In fact, if I had painted the stand with Muso black too, I could skip this step entirely. Now we grab all the images, along with their masks, and import them into a new Reality Scan project. At first glance, it looks like we're not doing anything with the masks, but check the properties of each image. There they are, already part of each photo's information. Once we finish aligning all the loops again, all the photos show up as little dots around the fruit. This right here is exactly what we're after. Good coverage from every angle, so that even the tiny details, like the pores on the skin, come out perfectly reconstructed. I want to be honest with you about one thing. All of these steps come out almost on their own as long as you use cross-polarization and a flat background that allows the cutout. If you don't have polarizing filters, you'll have to retouch the photos by hand to remove the blown-out highlights and the harsh shadows. And if you don't have a background that contrasts well with the object, you'll have to make the masks one by one. That step alone can easily eat up a whole day of work. For a practice exercise like this one, around 80 photos gets you decent results. But for a more professional project, editing and masking close to 400 images is a whole different ballgame. And remember something, you can do photogrammetry even with your phone. What matters is prioritizing polarized light, a polarized lens, and a background that's as matte as possible and contrast with your object. To wrap up this step, we generate the raw 3D mesh. I like to create it at the highest quality possible because I'm going to use it later for two things: to pull the detail textures and as a reference for a second lighter model that we'll do the retopology on. Here we get to retopology, and let me quickly explain what it's about, because it's the part that scares people the most at first. The model that came out of the scan is a huge, messy mesh with millions of triangles scattered around with no order at all. It's good for seeing the detail, but it's incredibly heavy and awkward to work with. Retopology is building a new mesh on top, clean and organized, that copies the shape of the fruit but with way fewer polygons. The result is a light model that any program can move without breaking a sweat. I'm doing it in TopoGun, but don't let the tool stop you. You can do this exact same thing with Blender's basic options, or with some Addon. I think in past videos I left you an example doing retopology with just the basics of Blender, so head over and check it out if you're interested. And to be honest with you, where I feel most comfortable is in 3D coat, but for this exercise, TopoGun works perfectly. Since the mandarin is basically a sphere, the retopology is one of the simplest you'll ever come across. As a final touch, I use the brush to relax the whole mesh so it hugs the surface better. Then I subdivide a bit more and relax again. And that's it. Relaxing the mesh basically means telling the points to settle on their own and spread out evenly over the surface, with no tight or stretched zones. It's honestly a relaxing step to do, no pun intended, because you watch the mesh tidy itself up on its own. As you can see, with really simple tools, you can pull off retopologies without overcomplicating your life. With the model finished, we send it over to Blender to sort out the UVs. Now with the model in Blender, the first thing is to get rid of that faceted, blocky look it usually comes out with from TopoGun. What we want is for the surface to look smooth and rounded, like a real fruit. Now the UVs. And there's no better example than a fruit to understand what they are. Picture yourself peeling the skin off the mandarin and flattening it against the table until it's completely flat. That, more or less, is a UV, taking the surface of a three-dimensional object and stretching it out onto a flat plane. The whole point is to make just the right cuts so the skin flattens out without distorting too much, and using as few cuts as possible. Watching the video now, I think I could have done this a little better, but in theory, this is one of the best ways to handle fruit. Then we arrange those UVs in the workspace, trying to make them fill as much area as possible. Here you've got to play around with the scale and position by hand. And if you've got a good add-on that does this work for you, don't hesitate to use it. It saves you time. With that done, we head to ZBrush. And here I only do one thing: subdivide the mesh and project it onto the scanned mandarin to get all the fine detail back. This step isn't mandatory because you can also do it inside TopoGun. The thing is, I don't know if it's my PC or TopoGun itself, but it gets slow working with that much mesh. So I'd rather do it here. I subdivide, project, and repeat as many times as needed. That part I'll leave up to you. We go back to Blender for a moment to confirm the new model kept its UVs properly. And with that, we're ready for the good part: projecting the final texture. For that, we import this model into Reality Scan, and instead of projecting the texture onto the scanned model, we project it onto our retopologized model. Remember the first high-definition model we made at the beginning, the heavy one? Well, this is where we finally put it to use. This step is called baking. I do it in Marmoset Toolbag, but you can do it in a ton of programs, and there are several free ones that give exactly the same result, so there's no need to spend money. The idea is simple. We're going to transfer all the detail from the heavy model, the one with every pore and every bump on the skin, onto our light retopology model. That way, the light model looks just as detailed as the heavy one without actually being it. That detail gets stored in an image we call a bump map. And while we're at it, we take the chance to pull other maps: the cavities, the ambient occlusion, which is basically where the shadows fall in the little nooks, and any other map you think will help you improve the textures later on. A tip from experience: I like to do a first bake at low resolution, just to check that everything came out fine, with no artifacts or weird noise. And once I confirm it's clean, then I do the final bake at high resolution. It saves you the frustration of waiting on a heavy bake only to find out at the end that it came out with errors. And we reach the final step, where the fruit really comes to life. We open a new project in Blender and import the optimized model. Pay attention to this because it's important. Only now do we scale the mandarin to its real size and place it properly oriented in the correct position. Leaving it for this moment saves us problems later on. Now for the last thing: creating the PBR material. Without getting too technical, a PBR material is what makes the model react to light, just like the real object would, so it works the same in a render, in a reel, or inside a video game, and looks believable. When I took the photos, I didn't use a card to calibrate the white balance or the exposure. That means the colors don't come out perfect from the start, so at this step, I've got to adjust them by eye, always comparing against the real mandarin I've got right next to me, until the color is as close as possible. My recommendation is to focus on two things first: getting a good bump map so you can feel the texture of the skin, and a good reflection map. Once that's convincing, then you sit down to fine-tune the exposure and the color balance, one thing at a time. When everything looks good, we export the final maps. For this case specifically, 3 is all we need: the color map, the bump map, and the reflection map, also called the surface map or roughness. This last one tells the program how rough the skin is. The rougher it is, the less it shines. The smoother it is, the more it reflects the light. Simple as that. And with this, we can say the project is done. We save the model with all its textures in a folder, and you've got it ready, whether to sell it as an asset or to use it in your own projects. By the way, if you're new around here, in past videos I already explained everything you can do with photogrammetry and all the things it's good for. I'll leave those videos around for you to check out. And that's it. We started with a wrinkled, dried-out mandarin, and we ended up with a 3D model that looks almost identical to the original. If this helped you, tell me in the comments what object you'd like to scan yourself. Leave a like if you enjoyed this project. And if you're into 3D modeling and cool experiments, subscribe to the channel. I'll be sharing a lot more content like this. Have a good day, and take care.